Yes, brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of the Nee Divvies podcast. And I'm very proud to announce today's special guest, the man himself, Matt Legg. How are you, brother?
I'm good, thank you, mate. Thank you for having me up, Danny.
Mate. Listen, mate, my pleasure. We meet at last.
Yeah, it's been a long while. Yeah, I've been following you for obviously ages now. So yeah,
Thank you, brother. Likewise, mate. I've been there from the start, and you got some really good content, mate.
Thank you.
And I've spoke to a few people. Alex Kearney, big shout out, Alex Kearney.
Yeah, love Alex.
And it's been in the making a little while, this meeting and this podcast. As we know, the world of YouTube can be a weird place, can't it? But what I like about yourself and what I like about your content is, it's honest, it's real, it's raw, and it's away from all the drama. You know what I mean? It's a breath of fresh air for me watching your stuff.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I'm glad. Yeah, I try and be honest. I'm always honest.
Yeah.
I try and build people up. I don't want to be negative about people.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Most of my things I'll be praising people. I like a positive. Yeah. Positivity gives you energy, I believe.
Absolutely.
Negative side of it drains you. So I always try and keep it positive and try and get some good stories out there.
And you emit that. Now we've met in person. You emit that positivity, mate. You're a really good vibe about you, mate. Good energy.
Same. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I like that, mate. Yeah, we have a loose format with this podcast. I'm going to give you the floor shortly. I just want you to, I want the people watching, to know your story and know a bit more about the man himself, because you've just hit 10,000 subs.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put your link in the description, mate. So hopefully we can get a bit more traffic over there.
Thank you, mate. Yeah.
So if you just want to check the floor for as long as you need, mate, tell us a little bit about, your earliest memories in childhood, what it was like growing up around where you were, relationship with your mum and dad, a little bit of primary school, into secondary school, and we'll take it from there, mate. The floor is yours.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, cheers. So I've got two brothers. So it's me and two brothers. They're younger. I was the naughtiest one. They've never been in trouble at all. I've been in all the trouble. I was born in a tiny little village in Northamptonshire called Drayton. Tiny village, just a church and some houses. So very peaceful, very quiet. I've got a love of the countryside from that. Lived there till I was 6. Mum and dad brought me up very strict with manners, morals, all the old school stuff, respect for your elders, no lying. My dad had a big thing about lying. So he'd rather you told the truth. Whatever you've done naughty, tell the truth. And he'd rather that. So that's instilled in me. Had a great childhood there. Moved away to Bedford at the age of 6 to a pub. So I've lived in pubs from the age of 6.
Was this your mum and dad landlord?
The landlord.
Running them,
Yeah, in Bedford. So we were there for 2 years. I went to the school in Bedford. I got bullied a little bit by a couple of gangs, nothing too major. I was quite a quiet person, actually. So I was quiet as a child as well. But got picked on a bit. Then we moved to Milton Keynes, because Bedford was quite a bit rough at that point. We moved to Milton Keynes, which was the new up-and-coming city. This is in 1984. And I was 8. So we moved to another pub in Milton Keynes where I stayed. And we lived there, and I really enjoyed my childhood. I was fairly good in school. Until about 13, I started to get into fights. I'd get people wanting to fight me because I was tall. I was 6'2" at 13. And I had a lot of people wanting to fight me. Normally older kids, or like a 2 or 3 people would start. And I had to fight quite a bit, and there was arranged fights, and that's what kick-started the fighting.
How did you get on in these fights, your first couple of exchanges?
The first one was arranged. I won that quite easily. Yeah. It was an arranged fight. Bloke turned up. I'm friends with him now. He stuck these Jubilee clips on his rings, and he hit me with them. But I beat him anyway. He was 13 years old. And then we became friends after, like you do.
Yeah.
I had some more fights at school. I got arrested a couple of times for fighting. And, but I try to stick to, I've got a moral code. I wouldn't start a fight. My dad brought me up not to start a fight, but if someone starts on you, you can fight back.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
brilliant. We just spoke briefly about that, haven't we? And I think with that mindset and that, the way you are, as we've said before, I think if somebody's looking for you or somebody's bringing trouble to you, I think you have an immediate advantage, don't you?
Yeah.
You're getting it put on you.
You're in the right.
Exactly.
You're in the right.
Bingo.
I always try and justify. I've had many. I think I'm a better street fighter than boxer. I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
I had many, many more street fights than boxing. Boxing, I had, we'll get to that in a minute, but
Yeah.
I had altogether only 25, amateur and pro, but street fights was loads more. For various reasons, if people were starting on my friends, I'd protect my friends. Nights out in nightclubs, people would start. Invariably, it'd be a little gang would start. It would never be one-on-one, but fights like that, I've been hit a few times with knuckle dusters and bits of wood and things like that, the normal stuff when you're young and that sort of thing, little fights here and there. But I always try and justify my reason for fighting back.
Yeah.
And if you're in the right, then I believe they're fair game.
Yeah. Bingo. Were you ever affiliated with any gang, or did you just have a large group of mates or a small group of mates? What was your sort of the camaraderie, like the friendship and that between you and the lads?
I've got a lot of mates all over Milton Keynes, but I was at one point affiliated with a gang that they used me as a bit of muscle and sort of driving around, and if they needed me to have a word with someone, I'd be able to go and have a word with them because I was big.
Yeah.
By the time I was 18, I was 18 and a half stone because I was into the weight training purely to be a better fighter because of all the fights I was getting into. So I did weight training, got very big, ended up in prison at 18 as well from fights. It was a fight. The doorman threw my mate down the stairs. So I went to help my mate and the doorman had to go at me. So I had a fight with all the doormen. The police came in.
How many doormen?
There's about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And then the police came in and took me out and I waited outside till the club was shutting because I thought I'm not having that. And as everyone was coming out of the club, I went back in and just took on all the doormen again, hit the main doorman and his molar. I remember his molar coming out. Before I was a boxer, this was. And I was 18 and had a fight with the doorman. Police came back in and got me again and had a fight with them again. And then, went into police station and had another fight a few months later. And they had to remand me.
Were you on bail originally?
I got remanded. There was, I think, 2 or 3 fights that happened and they remanded me to Woodhill in 1994. So I went to prison.
Was this 18?
I was 18, yeah.
Was it like a Wyonic?
It was, because Woodhill back then was a double A cat.
Right.
Because it had the prison within the prison. I don't think it's double A cat now. So there's a prison within the prison. And I think Charlie Bronson was in there and Kevin Lane, I think, was in there at that time.
Right.
But I was on the young offenders wing.
Yeah.
And I remember walking on and all the young offenders looking at me like, he can't be a young offender. Because I was 18 and a half stone. And a couple of them asked me, you're a YP? And I was like, yeah. And the Norman was on there. They brought Norman on to stop the trouble because they couldn't control, what YP's like.
Yeah.
They're trouble, aren't they?
So I take it Norman was adult prisoner.
Yeah, but they moved him on
on the wing, yeah.
To Norman Buckland, for anyone who doesn't know, is a very well-known street fighter. And
he is.
So Norman was someone who I'd known since I was 13. I used to hear stories about him, and I used to look up to him.
Yeah.
Because he's not a bully. He's a gentleman, but he'll fight. If he has to fight, he'll fight. He's been outnumbered by gangs, and he never lost a fight, even against 4 or 5 men. So, and I respect that. It's the old anti-bully.
Yeah.
It's the opposite to a bully.
Yeah.
So, and we knew
big shout out Norman Buckland, by the way. I met him once down at a bare knuckle show in Bradford. Absolute gentleman from what I met, and just had time for everybody. Big shout out for Norman.
He has. He's got a great heart. He's got a bravery award for. No one knows about this really. He was driving past the caravan site. The caravan was on fire. Traveller's site. He got out of his car, tried to get into the caravan, burnt all his hands. He got awarded a bravery award for that. But he's one of the men that I looked up to. Yeah. From 13, 14 years old, and so he was in the prison.
Yeah.
So I've gone in and straight away gone to see Norman. Like, how you doing? Norman's like, what are you doing in it? He couldn't believe I was in there.
Yeah.
And then,
you knew him from previous?
Yeah, we knew each other. Yeah, we used to train in the gym together.
So
Norman used to come up to me in the gym and go, all right, and grab my arms. And he was like my hero.
Yeah.
Norman was. Well, he still is.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said to me was, rather than fighting with the police and doormen and street fighting, it's going to get you nowhere. Why don't you put all this energy and strength into boxing?
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'd take his advice because he knows what he's talking about. We said, yeah. So we tried to get gloves brought into the prison and all the other kit, but they wouldn't let us because they said it will be inciting trouble. Mm-hmm. So we just did it anyway. So we just did it anyway. We used to wrap a couple of pairs of socks around our knuckles for a bit of padding and then go in the shower bit and just basically spar, but it's like a fight.
Yeah, brilliant.
And that's my first introduction to boxing was me and Norman with the socks around our knuckles. So we did that, and
So he took it under his wing a bit then?
yeah,
Jail, yeah?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, I was only in there for a little while, end of '94 to early '95, and I've never been back since. But out of that came the positivity of the boxing. So Norman ignited the spark, and I came out and started going to the amateur gyms, and that was the start of my amateur career.
Yeah. We'll get there in a second.
Yeah,
No, mate. I just want a little bit more of prison.
Yeah, actually,
a little bit.
Yeah.
You first went in there, mate. You know, you're a big lad for your age. Any intimidation about for the people or for the prison or the guards or the place itself? Took it in your stride.
Yeah. I took it. I sort of, because I was into fighting. The people were talking about. They were already arranging fights between me and other prisoners from other prisons, the big names.
Right.
So and I was sort of thriving on that. Like, oh, right, because when you're young, it's silly now, but when I was young, I wanted to be the toughest fighter.
Yeah.
It sounds silly now, but
but it's the way it is.
It's the way I was. Yeah, I wanted to be at that age. It was street fighting I was doing. So when they were arranging me to fight so and so in this prison, so and so, I was like, yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah.
And I was sort of enjoying that sort of thing, that fighting, looking forward to big fights.
Yeah.
I've always done that now. Even now, I think of people like, that'd be a good fight. But it'd always be someone who is at the top of the game. I would never want to fight someone.
Yeah.
You know, you got to fight the best.
Mate, I can identify with that, you know.
Yeah.
As a young lad and that, I used to look at these lads who can fight and just, my head would be spinning. I wonder how I'd get on with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
the competitive nature.
It is, but it's more the youth thing, innit? You know, it leaves you done it, but
it's still there. It's still there.
Yeah, but it's still there now in mind. But at the time, I was a willing, active participant. You know what I mean? But now it's more like I just thought. It still plays in my mind. You know what I mean? Or I can see two tough men, and I'm like, wonder what would happen if them two had a fight. You know what I mean?
It is always on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the nature of men, and men with testosterone. It's that old fighting.
Yes, mate.
We all got it in us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a fighter, and to start boxing with Norman was like a dream come true because he was so respected.
Yeah.
So we did the boxing. I was only in there for a while. I saw a few bits of trouble in there. I saw the usual water and sugar chucked on people. And,
do you have any chew you selling?
I had one bit where there's only about 6 of us from Milton Keynes, even though it was in Milton Keynes, and there was a lot more people from other areas, and they slashed my mate's back in the shower. I got shouted, get into the shower. I ran up there, and it was another firm from another city. They'd cut his back. So I pulled him out, and then there was a bit of a beef going on. So I arranged their top man to come to my cell and say, do you want to have it out? And he came in the cell. He did try and front it at the beginning, but I said, if you want to have it out, we'll have it out. If not, it's got to all stop. And then it all stopped. That was the only bit.
You met Norman, got introduced to boxing. Did he recommend or advise you to go to an amateur gym, or did you take that upon yourself when you got out?
He actually opened up a little gym, Norman did.
Right.
He opened one up, but it wasn't affiliated with the ABA. So I had to go to another gym, which was affiliated with the ABA. So I went between all the gyms and started boxing. I think Newport Pagnell was the first one. And I think I got my first fight at, no, it wasn't. It was MK, I can't remember the name of it now. But I was about 19 when I had my first fight. So I dropped down in weight from about 18.5 stone to about 16.5 stone.
Yeah.
And I had my first amateur fight.
Yeah, strip it down for the boxing's the best way, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't want to be too heavy.
Of course.
So I was about 16.5, and I fought in Hemel Hempstead against a man called Jason Edworthy. I won the fight on points.
Yeah.
But I was wild. I didn't have a clue how to box. It's first fight. I just went out swinging.
Yeah.
And it took a long while for me to get that relaxed.
Yeah, and refined.
Refine it, long while. Even now, I'm still learning now.
Yeah, of course, mate. You never stop learning, do you? You know? The amateur bouts that you had, how many did you have?
I only had 15.
Yeah.
But I only lost to one man, and he was the double ABA champ.
Yeah.
And he beat me in the the ABA novice final in my 4th fight.
Yeah.
He beat me by 2 points.
Because that's under 10 fighting.
It was under 10, Right. He beat me by 2 points.
Yeah.
And then I got to fight him for the proper ABA final. My very last amateur fight, probably about 6 years later.
Yeah.
And he beat me by 1 point. Right. The only man I thought I was going to knock him out in the second fight. And he beat me again. So I lost to him twice. So I had 15 and I won 13.
good achievement, that, mate. Well
Yeah,
done.
thank you. Yeah, I thought Big Paul Joyce as well.
I just
Oh, you're going to get to that?
brought me conveniently to my next point, mate. Brilliant. Yeah, I've seen that fight. I remember seeing that fight and seen Paul fight once or twice, bare knuckle. But surprising when I went back, that was probably the earliest and youngest, if you like, that I'd seen him. And I remember thinking he can shift on for a big man, can't he?
Yeah.
He had fast hands for a big fella.
I think he's 20, 22, 23, 20, something like that stone.
Yeah.
6'5", and he can move. And
Yeah, you
I
could
think
tell.
when I fought him then, he was about 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
I was early 20s, and I knew he was unbeaten because we used to see each other at shows.
Yeah, cool. You do, don't you?
And I used to see him around, and he was always like looking around, and
Yeah.
I get on really well with Paul. And they said, "Do you want to fight Big Paul?" And I went, "Yeah." And I'd done a day's work on the building site, and then drove down to Oxford. It was in his hometown as well.
Yeah.
Drove to Oxford, and I had a great fight against him. He was all over me in the first round.
I remember watching him, mate. It was a cracking contest, you know. He's very busy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very, very busy.
Fast hands.
Yeah.
And he's got heart.
Yeah.
He won't give up. He's got a chin, and it was tough. Yeah. He was on me for the first round and a half, and I just dug in, and kept on coming.
Yeah.
And the timekeeper was so enthralled by the fight in the last round, he forgot to press the bell. So it went on for 3 minutes. It was an amateur fight. So we had another minute.
Wow.
And I was happy if I'd have got a draw, I'd have been happy.
Yeah.
I was just happy to have had a good fight.
Yeah.
But when they raised my hand, I was over the moon.
Brilliant.
The first fight Paul lost, he was unbeaten then. He only ever lost to 3 people out of 30 amateur boxing matches.
Yeah.
He beat the ABA champion that beat me.
On a club bout?
Yeah.
Not in the championship?
Yeah, so he beat the double ABA champion, which shows how good he was.
Yeah. Well, you could see he was good and well schooled, mate. I really enjoyed watching that fight.
Thank you, mate, yeah.
Really did. So tell me, when the day come, or was there a gap in between your amateur and pro? What happened? When was this transition? When did this come about between amateur and pro?
So at the end of my last 10 fights amateur were with Ricky English in Watford. Mm-hmm. And he got me in that. He wanted to get me like a Mike Tyson type style. Yeah. So I started stopping people with Ricky's training. I was getting the power in the shots, and I was stopping a lot of the people. So with Ricky, we went straight into the novices, and I won every fight in the novices by knockout. Yeah. Then straight from the novices straight into the ABAs.
Yeah.
And I got all the way. I think I had 4 or 5 fights. I got all the way to the final. And Kelly Maloney, who back then in the former life was Frank.
Yeah.
Ricky had rung Frank up and said, "I've got a great prospect in the ABAs. Do you want to come and look at him?" And Frank actually came to all the different shows that I was on and followed me. He had Lennox Lewis at the time as well.
Yeah, that's right.
He had Lennox Lewis and quite a few others. So he followed me around. He liked what he saw, and he said, "I'll sign you up. When you win the ABAs, I'll give you contract." And I lost the final, obviously, but very close.
Yeah, runner-up, still a brilliant achievement, mate.
Thank you, mate. And Frank said to me, "I'll still sign you up. Same deal, same money, everything."
Yeah.
Because I think you're an exciting fighter. So that was it. I turned pro with Sports Network, which was Frank Warren was my promoter, and Frank Maloney was my manager.
At what age was this?
That was 25. I think it was 25, yeah.
And how was things, shall we say, outside the gym at this point? What was your personal life like? Were you still dotting about in and out in a bit of trouble, or were you settled by this time? Or
well, my eldest son, who's 21 now, was just born. He was just at that. So I think he was born just before the fight.
Yeah,
maybe a week before. So I was settling down. I'd been involved in a lot of trouble and stuff before. I used to go back and forwards between work and a little bit of crime and different things, like debt collecting and stuff like that I used to do, or phone calls to help people out in situations. And if I can mediate, I'll mediate. But I was trying to concentrate on the boxing, and give it a good go because I was with Sports Network.
Yeah,
and it was I was quite settled then when I turned pro.
What about sort of employment? How were you pulling the wage? Because as we know, you can't exactly get by on a pro contract in the early days.
Actually, that one was quite a good one. I got quite a good deal with Frank.
Right.
They took no money at all, the company, until I was on over 10 grand a fight. It's quite a good deal. So you get all your money.
Yeah.
And it was quite a good pay. I think I come out of, it was about 5 or 6 grand. I got £4.5 wages, and I got ticket money, 10%.
Yeah, ticket deal.
And I sold. I think I sold 15 grand. Yeah, I got £1,500 for tickets because I sold 15 grand. I had 350 people at Wembley Conference Centre. My pro debut.
Cool.
It was on the Danny Williams, Julius Francis rematch.
I remember
Second fight. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember watching it.
And Danny knocked out Julius. And just after they got Julius out, that's when I got in the ring for my debut.
So, how can I put this? Like, location-wise, most of your fights down there in your local area, because it's a busy bit, isn't it, for fighting down there? There's always shows on, small hall shows, right up to the big hall shows. Like, I know we got to Wembley and that, we'll get there. But, you know, we roughly located all around the London area. Yeah,
my first 4 were Wembley Conference. Then it was Your Call for the next 3.
Your Call, mate.
Your Call, yeah.
Brilliant.
I had three fights. I had 4 fights at Your Call.
Class up, mate.
Yeah, but the next 3, then I left Sports Network after. I lost my 4th fight. I won the first 3 pro, lost the 4th to a man called Slick Miller. Have you ever heard of Slick Miller? No. Really good puncher.
Points?
No, he stopped me in the second. Yeah. I got stopped by Slick Miller, and I got stopped by AJ, and obviously we'll get to that, and Tony. But yeah, Slick Miller. So then I went with, who did I go with after that? Another promoter. I won my next couple. I had about 5 years out. Then I came back and I won another 2. I had 11 years out of a 13-year career.
So rewind a little bit to that 5 years out. That 5 years out, he says you lost the fight. So after this loss, what, did you spit the dummy or something? Did you not take that very well?
I just thought, what am I doing? And I thought I should have won that. Yeah, I sort of got disheartened.
Yeah.
And I was out drinking a lot, and I was staying up for 2-3 days, and it just wrecked it all.
Just while you were boxing?
No, after that fight.
I see, yeah.
After that fight.
So did this escalate? 5 years, a long time, mate. Fill me in a little bit, you know, so how was life?
Yeah, it just carried on. I just carried on partying and going out the weekend, and just never escalated. Yeah. I've always had a problem with drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
I either do none, it's all or nothing. I either don't do it. If I do it, I'm going to be on it till I'm asleep.
Yeah. And
I can drink a lot.
Yeah.
I've drunk 5 bottles of wine in a day.
Yeah.
Bottle and a half of spirit I can do. If I'm on a session, I can do 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
You know yourself.
Yeah, mate. I'm glad you've touched on that because, you know, there's a whole portion of people out there like me, like you, you know, we can't social drink. You know, I've never been the type, you know, as we spoke before, about to have a beer with a meal. Don't work like that. You know what I mean?
When they say, let's go down the pub for 2 beers,
mate,
can't happen.
I'm in my ear for, you know, a week or so. And it's, you know, I think a lot of people can identify with that. So, you know, go as deep or as shallow as you want into, you know, this 5-year period, you know, you're partying a lot, you know, and everything else that goes with it, you know. Yeah. Did you know yourself it was a problem, or is it something you enjoyed doing at the time?
Nah, I've never thought it was a problem.
Yeah.
I just thought, because I've been brought up around drinking in all the pubs, and I never thought it was an issue. I thought it was the norm to go out at the weekend and just smash it. But obviously I realised that I was taking it to the extreme where people would go home and I would stay out, and then I'd go out with the next group of people. They would go home and I'd still be out.
Yeah.
So I'd take it to the extreme and do 2-3 days, no water, just no food, just drinking and everything else.
Yeah.
And then what happened, I got to a point where you just get weak mentally and weak physically, losing weight and not training, no good food, no diet. So everything just goes that way.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do it the other way, I'm training, I eat well, water, train, sleep.
That's it.
So it's either do one or the other. There's no middle ground.
And it's just such a big ripple effect that goes outwards, you know, not only when you're drinking and, you know, making a mess of your body, you know, that has a knock-on effect to all other aspects of your life, you know, not only your well-being, but your relationships, your socialising.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, when you're training and you've got good energy, good focus, that itself has a ripple effect, and you notice things getting better and better, you know?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
It's a negative way to be, and it's selfish. It was very selfish. I didn't know at the time. I just thought it's what I've done all my life from
Yeah.
13, 14 of drinking. So I realise now how selfish it is.
Yeah. You're still doing plenty of fighting and that at this time when you're in drunk, dotting about pubs and clubs and that?
Not so much then,
Right.
because I was quite fairly well known in Milton Keynes, and not many. No, I don't cause trouble.
And nobody bothered you?
Yeah. Not many. No, not a lot of fights at that
Yeah.
point. No. Strangely enough, I've had more fights in the last 5 years than in the previous 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know whether people think because I've got older, it's easier to have a go at me. Like I told you, didn't I, before I had a fight with a
Yeah.
couple of people with knuckle dusters.
That's it. Probably one of a few factors, though, with the age, innit? You know, we will get to that, mate. So tell me, you're coming towards this 5-year, I don't want to call it a binge, but, this episode, when what were you doing for work at that point? Were you talking about still doing a bit of enforcing and that? Or,
Yeah, bits of bobs of that.
Yeah.
I always had other work as well. I'd always do other work, building site work.
Yeah.
Different types of work. I worked for a delivery driver, which I enjoyed, going around delivering furniture in the countryside, which I love because I love the countryside.
Yeah.
Loads of different things like that. Yeah, roofing. I worked at MK Don Stadium carrying plasterboard upstairs.
Yeah.
That was before the AJ fight.
Yeah.
But it kept me super. I loved it because it was manual and it's fitness. Carrying 44 kilo boards up, I think it was about 100 stairs all day long. I loved it because I got fit.
So towards, towards the comeback fight, what got you back in? What was the temptation? Were you sick of doing what you were doing? Did you want to get back into it for serious? Was it money or what? Tell me about that.
What happened was I just thought I'm wasting myself. I've had time out, get back into it. I think I was watching pros on telly.
Yeah.
And I think Derek Chisora had just come back. And so I came back. Same sort of time he was on his way up.
Yeah.
He just won the ABAs and he was on his way up. He had about 7 fights. And I started training again and got to spar with Derek and a load of other people. And just thought, I'm going to give it another go. Yeah. Derek actually came to my comeback fight. Anthony Joshua was there as well in Watford, 2008. And I won that. In fact, there was a lot of people there. Roy Shaw was there.
Yeah.
Roy Shaw came to watch me, which was an honour. Dave Courtney was there and Harry Holland, AJ Chisora, which was crazy. And I got the win as well. I fought a man called Howard Daly, and he was actually putting up a good fight. First round, he was on me again, and I rolled under, a bit like how you beat Brazier. I rolled under, and I left hooked him and stopped him.
Well done.
Which was lucky because I was getting out of breath. So if I'd have carried on, I might have been in trouble. But good win on the comeback fight.
Yeah, some good eyes on you as well.
So, yeah. Some amazing to have them people there. Yeah, a lot of good people in the crowd. Ricky English was there and Manny Clark, loads of people. Norman, obviously.
Yeah.
Loads of people.
So it's fair to say, all these people, not only the YouTube community now, but, all these good fighters who have went on to be top pros, you know what I mean? They've all knew who you were for a long time.
I suppose a few, Anthony Joshua, which surprised me. I didn't realise he'd sort of supported me from when he was young. And I couldn't believe that. Ricky told me, and he said at the day before the fight with AJ, he went, ask AJ if he used to look up to you and support you when he was young. I went, nah, he can't, he didn't. He went, ask him. So when I asked him, he said, yeah. He goes, Matt, I used to support you. He went, I was at your comeback fight in 2008.
Brilliant.
And I thought, wow.
That's class.
That meant more to me than the fight.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Olympic champion he was at the time and upcoming pro. And I thought, wow.
Yeah, I bet you took a lot from that, mate. But really nice to hear something like that.
Yeah, that made my day. Yeah. Or made my year.
Yeah.
I supported AJ all through his fights. Even after our fight, supported him all the way.
Yeah.
I know things have gone. I rate him. He's lost to Usyk.
Yeah.
But he's beaten Ruiz in the rematch. So he's beaten everyone in his face except Usyk.
Mate, and when you look at his resume, if you like, he's got some
names on there.
Brilliant names on there.
Klitschko, Povetkin.
Yeah.
So Dillian White.
Yeah.
He's so many unbeaten fighters he took out.
Yeah.
I still give him credit, and he did so much for British boxing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe he still can. I hope he still can.
Well, I think the big one that everyone wants to see is Fury Joshua. I would love to see that.
I've been waiting for that for years.
Mate, I like Anthony Joshua. I like his style. don't know him as a person. You know, I don't have much of an opinion on him outside the ring. You know, he's a brilliant fighter, very good for British boxing, as you've says. But I'm a Tyson Fury nut.
Yeah.
You know, I'm backing Fury all the way in that fight.
Yeah.
But you know, it'd be a good one for the fight fans if they can get that one over the line.
I love Tyson Fury as well.
Yeah.
I love AJ. I love them both.
Yeah.
Both really good people.
Yeah.
I met Tyson. This is years ago too. I think Tyson was British level, and he put on Facebook. I got a phone call. Someone said, "Have you seen what Tyson Fury's written on Facebook?" He'd written, "All you British heavyweights, you're all pussies."
Yeah.
He put, "None of you will spar me, let alone fight me."
It's just sort of before the McDermott fight, then.
Maybe around that time,
right?
or maybe after.
Right.
And I went on there and I went, I'll spar you. How much are you paying?
Yeah.
I wasn't fit. I'd not even boxed for about 2-3 years. I was
Yeah.
out of shape. I was just sitting indoors. I thought it was a bit of money.
Yeah.
He went, 10 grand if you knock me out. And I said, all right, how much if I don't knock you out? And it was good wage for 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So I got on the train the next day, just on my own, and went up to Manchester. Tyson picked me up with his brother Shane and drove me to the caravan site, just us three.
Brilliant.
And I was warmed up. I was warming up, and Tyson come over. He went, he goes, "You look a bit like Mike Tyson, that style." And I was like, "Yeah." And Shane got in, did the first round, sparring.
Yeah.
I got in, did the second, and Shane got in. So we did that. So Tyson got 8.
Yeah.
I landed 1 punch on him.
Yeah.
And that was in the last round. I got him with a left hook, and he just shook it off.
Yeah.
And I just realised how good he was even then. This was probably maybe 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
And I said to everyone, he will be champion. And when he fought Klitschko, I had my money on Tyson.
Yeah.
So I knew how. Someone summed it up the other day. When you spar him, it's almost like he's in the other corner, but he's hitting you
Yeah.
from the other side of the ring.
Yeah. His limbs are that long.
And then it's crazy. Another time I sparred him was a couple of years later. And I was getting ready for the James Toney fight. And I was at Peter Fury's on the site there in the gym. And I sparred Huey, Eli Frankham, and I wasn't meant to spar Tyson. Tyson was watching. And so I thought, that's a sparring done now. I've sparred them two. Yeah. Tyson got in the ring at the end. I was like, oh, no. And I had to spar him again, but he just ran circles around me so quickly.
Yeah.
I couldn't even set my feet to throw a punch. And I burst out laughing because he was going around me, jabbing me like that.
Yeah.
And I looked at Peter Fury and Mervyn. I went, what am I supposed to do? And I started laughing.
Yeah.
It was funny because he was just playing with me.
Yeah.
But he's the next level. He is the next level.
He's where he is for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
He's the man in my eyes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the man in my eyes.
He's got everything. And to get out from them knockdowns was one of the Wilder knockdown was the most unbelievable thing I've seen, I think. One of them.
I cried a river when he hit the canvas.
Yeah.
Literal real tears, mate. I was like, no, you know, because I thought he had that fight in the bag easy.
He did, yeah.
Even with the knockdown.
Yeah.
I thought he's boxed his head off. You know, for him not to give him it and that, I thought it was very unfair. But the thing I like about Tyson is he's always been good, always. Incredibly nimble and light on his feet and, you know, and all that stuff that makes him who he is. But it's the continuation of improvement, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to knock AJ, and I won't.
No.
You know what I mean? But from what I see, you know, I'm not saying he's hitting the wall, but I know he's had a couple of defeats and stuff, but, you know, he's... how can I put it without being disrespectful? Because I'm not being disrespectful, you know. He sort of... To me, he was like at his best at the Klitschko fight, you know, and he hasn't been big adaptions and since then, you know, he's... I'm trying to word it as politely as I can, you know. He's good. He's very, very good. And he's stayed good. You know, Tyson was always good, but then he's got better and he's pulled all these things into his game. Just a continuation of improvement. And then he's not, you know, now he started stepping on people and knocking them out. You know, just brilliant. I hope that fight comes off one day.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Tyson sent me a message the day before I fought AJ. Tyson sent me a message. He went, give it 1 round, everything you've got, headbutt him, bite him, kick him in the nuts. Obviously joking, but that's his sense of humour.
Yeah. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Tell me about the James Toney fight, mate, and how this come about.
Yeah, so I'd had my comeback. I had another comeback. I had a few years out. This was 2013. I went with Mervyn Turner, who was part of Tyson Fury's camp, which is how I got to go up again and spar with Huey and Tyson. And Mervyn got me a fight in Milton Keynes, which I won. Huey was on the bill, and Tyson came down to Milton Keynes, and I got a win on that one. He was an unbeaten fella, actually. He came over from Prague, He'd had 4 fights, won all 4 by knockout.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of an unknown quantity, but I beat him in my comeback. Then I got a phone call, do you want to be in prize fighter? Eddie Hearn's prize fighter,
Yeah.
and Shannon Briggs was going to be in it.
Yeah.
And then it changed to James Toney. I mean, Shannon Briggs I think he's got a dangerous punch on him. I think he hits super hard. So James Toney hits hard, but Shannon Briggs is next level.
Yeah.
But Shannon Briggs pulled out, and James Toney was in. And I was thinking, I want to get drawn James Toney just to get in the ring with a legend. I'd only just been watching the interview. Do you remember the interview when he had a go at Nigel Benn and
Yeah,
Eubank?
of course I remember it. Was it what's the actor he was with?
Mickey Rourke.
That's it, Mickey Rourke. Who was sat with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, and he
I
has a
remember
go.
watching that. Yeah.
I've just been watching that, and I got the phone call.
All English fighters are bums.
That's it. Yeah, you all bum.
Funny.
Yeah, I'll beat you and your mum's ass.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And I just watched that and got the phone call. Do you want to be in it? So I said, yeah.
Brilliant.
So
Was that the first draw?
yeah, what they did a draw. They said they did a draw out of the hat, but but I think So I got James Toney, and on the night, the day before the fight, we sat together with the American team because we were all in the hotel.
Yeah.
So we sat with the American. James Toney stayed upstairs in his room.
Yeah.
He was lovely after the fight,
Yeah.
but before he was a bit like a diva type,
Yeah.
throwing a few fits and stuff. I
Right.
think that's his way though.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant after. But the day before, I sat with the American team, and one of them, Jason Gavin, he used to spar with James Toney.
Right.
He said to me, Matt, the only way you beat him, you can't knock him out. He's never been knocked out, and he never will. You've got to touch him and move, which is why I came out, like light,
Yeah.
not trying to hit him hard,
Uh-huh.
because he's too good on the counter, isn't he?
Yeah.
As you know. So I just touched him and moved, went round him, and he caught me in the last round.
Yeah.
Have you seen the fight?
Yeah, of course you have, mate. And he's he's probably one of the best operators, of modern times. You know what I mean? And you hear some of the stories about him, some of the gym wars and the way he used to spar, I don't know how many rounds, and that is a savage, mate, is what he is. You know what I mean?
He used to just spar rather than pads and any other training.
That's right.
They said at one point he was a sparring schedule in the gym, so he would come in and say he wants to spar, no matter what level they're at. He spar anyone.
Yeah.
Have you seen a video of him sparring Gerald McClellan?
No.
There's a video of him with McClellan.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember McClellan? Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that, mate.
Yeah. So he was amazing.
Yeah.
Never knocked out in 90 something fights.
Yeah. He's a legend in his own right, and absolutely incredible fighter. To see him come from the weight, come through the weights as well, like he did. Even when he was packing the weight, he still had all the moves, but brought the power with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he was best at cruiser, wasn't he? Probably.
Yeah. I liked him at middle as well.
Yeah.
Back in the early days.
Yeah, fast.
Yeah, very fast. And you just see the body type, how different, how smaller, the same frame obviously, but very close to the bone back then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
Confident, so confident.
Absolutely.
He's one of the most confident fighters I've ever seen.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your headspace, how it was in that fight, how you remember thinking, how you remember feeling.
Because I wasn't that nervous because I thought I'm in with a legend anyway.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he would be able to punch that hard anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So and then after the first round, I took a few on the gloves and I thought he's not don't hit that hard, but he was going light. He told me after, he goes, "Don't always throw hard. Sometimes mix it up with a couple of light shots."
Yeah.
So I took a few on the gloves and thought he's not hitting that hard. And I underestimated it, and he caught me with a right hand. But it was a great experience to move around with him and to be in the ring with him. But I was fairly confident in that.
Yeah.
It wasn't as daunting as getting in with AJ.
Yeah.
That was quite more of a daunting experience because of the size of AJ and how dangerous he is with a punch, and the scale of the event.
Yeah, the venue and everything that goes with it. The magnitude of the whole event, the
The
build up and that of the card and that.
Yeah. That was to walk out at Wembley Stadium was.
Yeah.
Even though it was a third full, so 30,000. So it looks empty.
Yeah.
But it was 30,000 were there at that point.
What was didn't it get up to something stupid that
90.
night? Like 90,000 that fight, wasn't it? Because you eat it off Carl Froch every second, every sentence, don't you? But yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and fair play to you, mate. Listen, we'll get into that fight a bit now.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up when you did. How did the matchmaking come about? How did this fight come about? Which was ultimately your last fight, wasn't it, against AJ?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did this fight come about? Talk me through the process of what happened and when.
So what had happened, they'd actually asked me if I could fight him a little while before, and I wasn't ready. So I think someone told me that they saw that Sky Sports couldn't find anyone to fight him. Nobody wanted a part of him because obviously he's knocking everyone out.
Yeah,
in the
wrecking
first,
people.
Wrecking
wasn't he?
people.
Yeah.
So someone said, I know who'll fight him, Matt Legg. Then they rang me up and I said, yeah, straight away. I was actually working on the building site at MK Don Stadium. That's when I was carrying the plasterboard.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't do any running. I just did the plasterboard up and down the stairs all day. And it got me fit. And then I did my training, my sparring. Tom Little, I sparred with Tom Little.
Yeah.
He was one of my main sparring partners for the AJ fight because he's 6'6" as well, fast hands. And I sparred with, I think Huey Fury and Eli Frankham and quite a few.
Yeah.
Matt Skelton I did a bit with. And then, so it was arranged for Wembley. I couldn't believe I was on the biggest night in British boxing.
Yeah.
And our tactics were, this is what we arranged, just go all out for 2 rounds. There's no point in trying to box him for 6 because it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
I was 38 years old. He's 24.
Yeah.
The tactics were fly out at him like I normally used to do and just attack him and try and take him out. That's the only chance.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to do.
Yeah, well, that's obvious, mate, when you watch it. You know, and fair play to you. I remember watching the fight myself. I never watched it live. I never watched it at the time, but I've watched it back. I think it was the middle of last year when I first even heard your name again. You know, recirculating that. You know, and I thought I'm gonna watch that fight. Someone put us onto it, and I remember watching it and thinking exactly what you've just said. You know, just run out and charged him and looking for bombs and hoping for the best. And I remember Jim Watt, the commentator, saying, you know, we've got to give this man some credit here. At least he's coming out and he's actually trying, which is what they hadn't seen from previous opponents, you know. Yeah, fair play to you, mate.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, appreciate that.
Tell me where your headspace was in there, you know, for the time it lasted.
Yeah, that was different. The initial bit, because me and AJ get on quite well.
Yeah.
So when he got in the ring and he just stared across at me like that, with that look in his eyes, and I
We
thought,
ain't friends no more.
yeah. And I thought, this is it. And then I thought, stick to the tactics, head movement. Every time his jab he never caught me with one jab. Every time the jab comes out, slip, and then try and just catch him with the big shots.
Yeah.
And I did push him back. I pushed it. He actually had to go back because I was attacking. And there's one point where I got him in the corner, almost hit him with a big left hook.
Mate, they were just missing by a whisker, those left hooks.
Yeah. Just missed him. That's his skill level though.
Yeah.
He just knows how to get back.
Yeah.
And he caught me in the corner with a little uppercut, a few shots, and I went, come on in.
Yeah.
You can't really, and I went like that stupidly, come on in, and I got a bit too confident.
Just thought you maybe stay. You just put your hands down and said to say, just fucking come on then.
And then he told me after he worked out how to get me. He said rather than wait, he feinted the shots so that I would move my head. As soon as I stopped, then he would hit me.
Yeah.
And he got me even through the gloves. I went to block him, and even through the gloves, I thought, wow, that's different.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, he threw another shot. I bent forward, and the uppercut came up and broke my eye socket. As I was trying to get up, I couldn't see at all, and I thought blood was pouring out my eyes. I had 3 months of nerve damage on the right side of my face from that last uppercut, and then gradually the feeling came back, like hot and cold. Have you ever had nerve damage?
Of course,
hot
mate,
and cold.
That's it.
And
Bit
then
of tingling as well, isn't it? When
tingling.
it comes back in and out, the tingling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a bad mood as well because it was the Foch Groves rematch, and I went and sat after the fight. Went and sat at the back to watch the Foch Groves fight, and I weren't in the mood.
Yeah.
I wanted to go home.
Yeah.
I had a beer. I was trying to drink the beer, and it was just dribbling out my mouth where I couldn't feel.
Yeah.
But I don't get me wrong. Once I watched it back, I thought, actually, I'm proud. I'm happy with that.
Give it a good go, mate.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I gave it a go.
Yeah.
Threw everything at him, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And I mean, he took out loads of people. So
Yeah, of course he has. What were you like after the fight? What was it like? Were you still in a bit?
Yeah.
You showed him the respect he deserves. Or were you a bit pissed off with yourself?
No. I always show him respect. He came in the dressing room to talk to me. I think I've
Brilliant.
always liked AJ's character, and he's been sound, always sound. I
Yeah.
bumped into him, Milton Keynes, and he went, Matt, he goes, I forgot this is your manor.
Yeah.
And he went, come and get a photo. He gave my family a free photo shoot
Nice.
because he was doing a sports mania type thing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, class, mate.
When
was the last time you spoke to him?
He sent me a message a few years back. A friend of mine bumped into him. She went, I know Matt Legg. And he went, I'll give him my love.
Yeah.
and they sent a message across. So
Oh, nice one.
yeah.
So tell me about after this fight, after this mood, did you know there and then it was your last fight? I had enough. Did you fell out with it there and then, or was it a process before you realised you'd had enough?
No, a lot of people think that was the fight that retired me, but I was actually thriving on publicity.
Yeah.
And I was lined up for a Southern Area fight. I think it was within the same month.
Yeah.
But because of my broken eye socket, it scuppered all the plans. I think I was meant to fight Ali Adams for the Southern Area. And my philosophy was, my thought process was, anyone I fight after AJ is going to be easy work.
Of course. Yeah.
So I was looking forward to capitalising on that publicity in that fight. And it just didn't happen because the broken eye socket took 3 months. And in that time, I needed to earn money. So I went to work up in Liverpool as a site supervisor, assistant site manager on a big project up there. And I stayed up there for a year and then just once again fell out of boxing. And then I think I was 38, 39, and you think that's it now, it's too late.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get the bug for it again now.
Yeah.
Because
I've noticed a bit of your training videos and that, mate. Still hitting very hard, that's it.
yeah, still got, I seem to have kept the speed and
Yeah.
and if you just you whip them out and if you get legs into them with speed.
Well, I reckon, especially with heavyweights, the power's the last thing that leaves you.
Yeah.
I reckon it's there for a long, long time,
I've just got to see if my reflexes are still there.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know later on.
Yeah, that's it. That's absolutely.
Yeah.
The timing, innit?
Timing.
It's the first thing to go and the last thing to come back.
Yeah. That's the thing I'm going to test out. I'm not going to commit to saying I'll do it until I've done some sparring and tested the old reflexes and the body holding up.
Yes, mate.
Back and all that stuff.
Yeah. How's life been, the last, since, shall we say, since that fight, last couple of years?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I've been various jobs. I've got my new job starting, security work and close protection.
Yeah.
I'm with Norman Buckland on this Saturday, which I'm looking forward to. I'm not...
One or two famous people who we won't mention, you sort of, the firm that you're working for is attached to,
they've got some big names, big names, which I'm looking forward to doing all of that. And starting a new career doing that. And I do occasional boxing sessions, train people 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Got my 3 boys and my Mrs. Katie, and I'm quite relaxed and chilled out now. And obviously staying off the drink. It's only been 4 weeks, but that's really made a difference. Thank you.
Yeah, well done, mate.
It's really, I'm feeling energised, positive, more confident, no little bits of anxiety.
Yeah.
Just everything's better, sleeping better.
Yeah.
Just positive.
Yeah.
And then things like this coming up to do your podcast and other people have asked me. So the YouTube's given me a lot of motivation. I don't know whether I think you probably get the same.
Absolutely, mate. Listen, and it's a two-way thing, innit? Not only for me and yourself, we like displaying the truth. We like telling people little bits of experiences, how we feel, We don't tell anybody what to do.
Yeah.
We talk about our own experiences from our own standpoint. And that in itself, for me, I'm sure you can probably relate. It's almost like a little bit of therapy, if you like, talking about things and, especially when you're displaying things positively, like you're doing.
Mm.
And then you got the feedback. You got the followers, you got the nice comments, you got the people that are identifying and relating to what you're saying, so it's good for me and it's good for them type of thing.
That is something I really enjoy about it is like you said, the feedback and having a little dialogue with the subscribers, because a lot of them I've been speaking to, they don't really socialise. Some of them stay in the house a lot.
Yeah.
And their outlet is talking to us on YouTube.
Exactly.
So it's really good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah.
So I try and answer the messages when I can and as often as I can. But it's not, if you're helping someone, there's no better feeling.
No, absolutely.
Like you say, positivity and
Mate, your content's wicked.
Thank you.
It's
Same
really
as yours.
good.
Yeah.
And this YouTube, the community, if you like, it's like, there's room for everybody on YouTube. We watch what we want to watch. People are going to like what they're going to like. They're going to dislike and slate what they want to dislike and slate. That's their business. All we can do is try and be the best version of ourselves, displaying and creating the best content that we can. But I must say, you're known throughout, for being very good content, very positive.
Really, thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
That means a lot to me. Yeah.
And your channel's risen fast for those reasons. You know, you're doing good numbers, you're getting good views. You know, because me personally, you know, when you talk, I want to listen.
Yeah,
You know,
really?
yeah.
Thank you, because I never expected that, because I
It's
can't
happening,
stand
mate.
listening to myself.
Mate, it's happening.
So
Yeah.
it's quite a surprise to me, but thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, mate. Honestly, like I've said before, we're going to get your link in the description. I'd
Thank
like
you.
a lot of people to come over and start looking and listening to your content.
Thank you.
All positive stuff. You know, previous life experiences, some stories. You know, some ups and downs.
Yeah.
Some brilliant content,
Yeah.
mate. And
I'll always be honest as well.
yeah,
I'll never embellish or exaggerate or lie about anything.
Yeah.
I'll always be truthful
Yeah.
and respect all my subscribers.
yeah. Well, here's something. Then I'll drop this in then for people. You know, and hopefully you can do maybe these things. You know, because you don't. You know, and you don't. What you don't do is you don't build yourself up. You know, and I know you're not that type of person. I'm not saying you should be blowing smoke up your own ass, because you shouldn't. You're good at the way you are. You know, but there's a lot of stories and a lot of, shall we say, fights and scuffles that you've been in over the years when you've come out on top so many times. You know, I think it would be nice to hear one or two of those stories. You know,
Really?
absolutely, absolutely,
I've,
mate.
I've been thinking about it, yeah, and I didn't want it to look like, oh, I beat up these people, and it looks like I'm
Yeah,
showing off. So I put a few fight stories in, but
Yeah.
normally ones when I was outnumbered and I didn't really win.
that's
So
it. I've seen that. You know,
yeah, it's hard to try and work out how to put a story in like that and make it look like I'm not bigging
Yeah.
myself up.
Well, there's time yet, mate, and you're getting better and better.
Thank
at
you.
it,
I
so-
appreciate you saying that, though.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Same as yours. Yeah.
Appreciate that, mate. And for anybody who doesn't know, me and Matt's gonna go share a couple of rounds in 20 minutes, half an hour or so.
Yeah.
We're gonna go and have a little tip tap about, mate.
I'm an old man. Don't forget.
Yeah. Well, I'm just a little 13 stoner, don't you forget. Yes, but look forward to that. So there'll be some more content coming, and that'll be good stuff, mate. What I want to do is our sort of close these down and wrap them up is, you know, it's a format. It's a sort of something that I like doing. You know, I want to know where you think you would be and where you would like to be in 5 years' time. You know, and a little few aspirations and goals for the future. You seem like you're a happy chap, mate. You know, you wouldn't be here if you weren't, willing and happy. You know, but where would you like to be in 5 years' time? You know, give me a little bit of future direction. I know you're on a good path.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, where would you like to be in 5 years' time, and how would you like to get there?
Same place. Healthy, happy, children healthy and happy, all my family happy and healthy. Katie, all good, and her family. Working, training, feeling fresh. Not bothered about massive amounts of money. I'm not into material things.
Yeah.
More health, happiness for everyone around.
Yeah. The things that you can't buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just feeling good. And YouTube, I hope YouTube's still going, and I'm enjoying that. Like you said, it's cathartic, and if it's helping them subscribers, it helps me as well.
Yeah.
So just doing the same sort of thing. Maybe I've just got the urge to have one or two more fights, but I don't know whether that'll happen. But yeah, just would you like me to?
Yeah. I'd like to see it, mate.
Yeah,
Bare knuckle, I would like to.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the choice is yours, but
That's what I was thinking of, is the bare knuckle, because something that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I've never, I've had it on the street, but that's different to having an arranged one-on-one with another bare knuckle man.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think it would intimidate me or faze me.
No, I don't think it would either.
Because of the things that have happened on the street. But yeah, we'll see if I can get in shape and the body holds up and the reflexes, then possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to be healthy, happy, and everyone around me healthy and happy. And yeah.
Brilliant answer, mate.
Yeah.
Brilliant answer, that. So if people could just badger the arse out of this man and make him have a bare knuckle fight, I'd be very happy with that. No, but listen, we're going to wrap it up with a few shout outs. Any gyms, friends, family you want to shout out, any sponsors, anything like that, mate, fire away.
Well, everyone that supported me in my boxing career from day one, all my trainers, there's too many to name, but everyone who's been there for me. Atlas Gym, big shout out to them. Admiral Airport, everybody, everyone who's been there for me. Yeah, I'm grateful to everyone.
Brilliant, mate. Listen, Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I look forward to watching this one back, you know, and I'm glad we've had a bit of an insight into your life and, you know, and your story and your background, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Danny. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
mate.
Thank you.
My man.
Cheers.
Thank you.